Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. Well, down on the bench today we've got an Icom IC 2720H mobile radio. It's a dual band mobile. And the problem with it is the internal speaker is dead. Now, let me grab my glasses here. I was just poking around. I pulled the bottom cover off. And if we plug in an external speaker, you can hear we got static. And if I take up the scope probe, and we'll point the camera at the scope up here. And if we probe the audio connector, we see the static on the scope. And if I probe the speaker connector, we see the static on the scope. So we're driving signal to the speaker. We're just not getting anything out of it. So that's good. That means the electronics are working. You know, it's pushing audio down the wire to the speaker over here. So it's either going to be a blown voice coil in the speaker, or it's going to be a wire connection at the speaker. The problem, or not problem, the difficult part is getting to the speaker. I'm going to shut her off here. And let's see if the GoPro can see this. Yeah, it's looking down in there. Alright, so the speaker connector here goes down and loops underneath to the speaker, which is on the bottom part of the chassis. So to get to it, I have to take the board out. Now, the board is held in by several screws. These screws over here probably also press the finals down against the bottom of the chassis, which is the heat sink for the finals. But the SO239 here on the back is soldered to the board. So before I can get the board out, I have to desolder and remove the SO239, which has mount screws on it. So it'll just be take the screws out, get the desoldering iron going, pull the power cord out of the way, and we'll desolder that and remove it. And then I should be able to remove the board. There's only two connectors, that one's for the fan and one's for the speaker. I don't think there's any interconnects underneath it at all. All the front panel and rear panel connectors just go through holes in the case, and they're on the board itself. So yeah, that's what's next. Get the desoldering iron going, get the SO239 out, take out the screws and lift the board, and then I can look and see what's going on with our errant speaker here. Well, there's always something about this that makes it difficult. Okay, got the SO239 out. That was easy enough. And pulled all the screws, and the board doesn't want to come up. And looking at the disassembly manual Icom provides in the service manual, they don't tell you everything. For example, they mention you got to remove two screws that are right here and here under this metal shield, and they don't talk about removing the shield at all. So it's soldered here and here and over here and over here. So more solder to remove, and then I can get this shield up and get to these two hidden screws, and then the board will come up. So that's a gotcha. It's not readily apparent that those screws are there. They're hidden underneath this RF shield. So you'll have to remove this to get to those screws before you can take the board up. So there you go, beware of that. All right, back to desoldering. Well, that's about as obvious of a problem as you could have. The speaker wire is broken right there. Look at that. That's the positive lead. And the only thing I can figure is, and it looks like it's crushed right through, I think it somehow got into the threads of the mount screw here. And as the screw came through, it cut the threads, or cut the wire is all I can think. That's bizarre. But yeah, the wire is cut right there. It's just smashed right through. So I'm going to strip those ends, put a little heat shrink tubing on there, and join that back up, and then maybe look for a way to reroute the wire away from that hole so this doesn't happen again. But there's the problem right there. By golly, that wire is just cut right through. That is really odd. I've never seen that before. And it's below where the board board sits. The board sits above that, so it had to be something to do with the mount threads from that screw. It had to be. And that's really interesting. All right, so I'm going to splice that wire and put the whole thing back together, and we'll see if the speaker works. All righty, we now have the speaker wire patched, insulated with some heat shrink there. And I'm going to see if I can route it up this way and come up in this little cranny here. The board clears that corner just enough that I think we should be able to route it there. And the speaker connector on the board is actually right around here. So this should work. And that'll keep that wire away from that mounting screw where it comes through. And hopefully won't get cut again. That was certainly an obvious problem. Okay, so now the fun. I get to reverse putting things back together here, get the board back in, and then we'll see what's what, and if we have sound from the internal speaker. Okie dokie, we got her all back together, and yeah, that speaker wire routes up through there just fine. It's got plenty of room, plenty of play, and it's away from that end over there. I'm going to put this heatsink clip back in here for the audio amp. There we go. Little metal clip holds the audio amp against the chassis for a heatsink. So we're ready to power it up and see what happens. Power supply's on. Here we go. Hey, hey! How about that? We got audio. Let's see, squelch. There we go. There's the 2-meter side. All right, I got the antenna hooked up. Let's see here, low power. I think that means low.
Wheels can be kind of aggressive if you put the certain compound.
He's got to have 5.2 in here somewhere. Okay, now those guys are chatting away. I figure I'll just test the audio on my other radio up here. Got the HT sitting on 146.5.2. This is on 5.2. KB9RLW test, 1, 2, 1, 2. And it seems to work. KB9RLW clear. All right, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, and silver and brass, etc.
So, I guess we'll just button it up and call the owner and tell him to come get his radio. Another successful repair on the old tech guy bench. Yay. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.